for my loyal fans, and believe it or not, I do have them. This is Tricky Quiz number 20. And with that in mind, let's start off with our first question. Can you take the square root of a negative number? Well, yes, you can. Anybody knows their math, they know they call it an imaginary number, probably for obvious reasons. Reminds me of the pretentious, full of delusions professor I had, who, when I pointed that out in his results in econ of all places, and then had the temerity to accuse me of cheating because, well, I had printed too neatly. But boy, is that a digression. Here I showed the completing the square formula, and it turns out if we just do the most simple case of all, let's say all the coefficients are 1, you get a square root of a negative number. And you know, that actually kind of exists in cycle theory and, with that in mind, AC electronics, which is kind of the same thing. Well, this one's for you history buffs. When was the first television commercial and the first commercial use of color television broadcasting? Well, of course, there had been earlier experimental versions with color television. CBS got the bright idea to use a big old spinning wheel with, you know, the basic colors of light, which are blue, green, they call it cyan, and red. And when the FCC reviewed it, one of the comments was, I don't know about that wheel if it went spinning off into a household. RCA had a better version, and just before Christmas in 1953 started regular broadcasts. As to the first advertisement, it was Bulova Watch Time back in 1941. Well, for question number 3, for those of you who ask where I get my questions, this was actually a question on Jeopardy. What language in the UN Security Council is only written in cursive? Well, the language is Arabic, and you'll note below how they try to make it into printer blocks. Turns out it's kind of difficult because their characters are supposed to overlap each other. You know, in terms of printed languages, I have to say that the cursive form that to me is the prettiest is Russian. The spoken language is probably the prettiest for me is Brazilian Portuguese. Noting, I think of one of the 4 major languages coming to the New World, I think it's the only one that became prettier. But I digress. Okay, what typewriter rows contain the most vowels? You know, you're looking at it probably right now. As many of you know, or should know, that not only varies from language to language, but country to country. When originally submitted to Remington, a manufacturer of typewriters, the idea was to minimize the likelihood of one key striking over another. One of the differences common among, say, German is that the Y and Z keys are interchanged. French have the upper and lower case for numbers and punctuations flipped, but I digress. So the answer is, the first letter row, you've got 4 vowels. Okay, final question, always a flagger. Hey, how many stars has the European flag? Well, just like a clock, you got 12 for each one of the member states. And here they are. Kind of a diversionary trivia question. Which one was inherently non-contiguous? You know, British Isles are kind of just over, but Greece.